Hey, what's up, peeps? I haven't had a chance to make any video in about 2 weeks now or more. I've been busy doing so many different things, but I have to make this video. This is something I just can't miss. We need to realize this Saturday night is a huge boxing event. Like Floyd Mayweather says, he calls his fights events. This is an event, and not just a domestic battle, but this is a fight which every boxing fan should be watching. I mean, there's gonna be 80,000 people in that stadium this Saturday, so don't give me that bullshit being a little ass fight. I've been seeing a lot of boxing fans, and they're saying shit like, "Why would we watch Froch and George Groves? That it's only a British fight. There's gonna be like 10 niggas there." Nah, there's gonna be like 80,000 people there, bro. I mean, which boxing fight do you know that sells out 80,000 people in America? Nobody. It's these British fans that do it. But come on, man. You gotta watch this fight. But let's talk about it. This is one of the biggest fights of this year. The rematch between Froch and George Groves. I've just watched the first one again. So it can make me a little bit easier for me to make a prediction. But even then, I'm still, I'm having a hard time, making a prediction on this fight. I am gonna make one, but I haven't thought of it yet. I'll think of it while I'm making this video. But let's talk about this fight. The first one, Froch, the middleweight champion. He been in there with a lot of fighters. He is a world-class fighter. This is why this fight is different than other domestic fights, because this one can really shape up the middleweight division. The winner of this fight has so many opportunities out for him. Whether it's Froch, even though he wasn't that Super 6 tournament, he been in there against the likes of Ward, and he got absolutely dominated by Andre Ward. But then again, who doesn't get dominated by Andre Ward? Andre Ward is the second best fighter in the world. But he also beat the likes of Kessler and, etc. And then if Groves wins this fight, he's going to be in the world map now all of a sudden. Everyone's going to know who George Groves is. He's going to get opportunities. He's going to come to America, or he can bring huge British fights to Europe, to the Reebok Stadium or Wembley Stadium, wherever. This is a huge fight, massive fight. Now let's talk about the first fight for a second, right? Froch was a heavy favorite in the first fight because everyone knows who Froch was, the hero, the warrior, the hometown favorite, the crowd favorite, British's #1 fighter they call him. And in came George Groves, 18-0. Right, slowly build up his career. He really didn't have a performance that really, solidified him into superstardom, but this was his opportunity. And he was being blunt before the fight, saying, he was very confident in what he was going to do in this fight. And right when this fight started, George Groves just, impressed me so much. I watched his fights before that, a couple of them, but in this fight against Froch, I saw so many different things. I saw a nice jab, quick hand speed. I saw a decent movement around the ring. And what happened is he put Froch's on his ass in the first round. And I was like, uh-oh, man, this boy, he can fight. And he kept the pressure on. He kept fucking with Froch. Froch just looked different. Either he turned old overnight, or he just completely underestimated him and had the complete wrong game plan. But even then, Froch did have his moments in a couple of rounds. He did land flurries, but they just looked slower. They didn't look like they had too much power in the beginning. He did get leverage towards the end, but not too much power in the beginning. He just looked a little, different. Like he was overmatched, but in the toughest fight, one of his toughest fights of his career, because people thought Froch was going to overmatch George Groves, and it looked like the complete opposite in the beginning. It looked like Froch was the one who was the underdog in this fight and fighting real hard to just stay in the fight. George Groves, impressed everybody. No one knew he was going to do that. No one could tell me that he was going to come out there and do that shit. And I had him up on the scorecards. Then here came the controversy, right? It was the 9th round, I think, yeah. It's a decent round. They both started off throwing huge punch combinations, and all of a sudden Froch lands like 4 or 5 big shots, right? And George Groves is turning his body away. His head is down. he's going the opposite direction, and obviously you're gonna do that when you're getting hit with some hard shots. But then the referee just comes in and stops the fucking fight. Like, he headlocks George Groves, he takes him out the side and stops it. And oh my god, bro, that was some huge controversy. And I was like, yo, what the fuck just happened? Why the fuck would you stop the fight? And from that point on, everybody was pissed because everyone had George Groves, or if you know boxing, you had him up by a lot. Like, you had him comfortable. I had him up comfortably so much that even if he lost round 9, 10, 11, and 12, he probably would have won the fight. Actually, he probably would have needed another round because, you know, this is fucking Carl Froch's crowd and judges and shit. But, you know, end of the day, why the fuck was that fight stopped? That shows you, you know, they were doing anything they can to make Carl Froch win. Because he is the money fighter. He is the big fighter in this. Because, look at it this. If they stopped the fight then, if the referee wanted to stop the fight in that round because George Groves looked hurt, how come he didn't stop the fight in the first round when Froch's ass looked, you know, shaky? He not only was getting hit hard, he got knocked down and he got up, and even towards the end of the round he got hit with some clean shots. How come the ref didn't stop at that time? So, you know, this is shit I don't understand. You know, I had George Groves winning that fight, but everything can change now. Absolutely everything can change in this rematch. This is why this rematch is so interesting, because hold up a second. Because he did have his moments in this fight. Carl Froch did have moments. He showed us. And Carl Froch fans, they're blaming it on the game plan and how he you know, fought with his head down too much and he gave Groves too many opportunities. But, you know, I kind of disagree with that. I just think George Groves is a skilled fighter. And no matter, even if Carl Froch does be better in this next fight, I think George Groves is going to improve also. One thing George Groves I didn't like about him is his conditioning. That's one thing he needs to improve, because obviously he got tired towards the end. You can easily tell he was tired. He wasn't throwing those same looping rights and lefts and jabs. He was tired. So that's one thing. So this is a 50-50 fight for me to call. I honestly am having a hard time calling this because I think Carl Froch can win this fight. He has power in both hands. He can throw nice combinations and move around. He's a little taller than George Groves and more experienced. He can make the necessary adjustments, and this time he probably trained harder also. But then again, George Groves, I think he improved a little bit of his defense. He's going to be more confident. He knows what he can do. He knows he has power too. It's not only Carl Froch with the power. He's the one who knocked Carl Froch down. So my heart is telling me that Carl Froch is going to win this fight because he's more experienced. He's going to make the necessary adjustments, and he's going to be more careful, more powerful, more slick, more smoother. But I'm going to go with George Groves. I'm riding with George Groves on this one. Honestly. I think he's younger. He's more confident than ever. I mean, he is very confident. You know that shit talking they be doing. And I think he might he might have gotten under Carl Froch's skin. But, you know, look, both fighters have so much to fight for. Both of them are motivated. We know George Groves is motivated because of the first fight. But, you know, Carl Froch is motivated too from all that shit talking and everything else.